Hello and welcome to my next upload. This is a different one that I just felt kind of called to do this morning. It really just kind of came out of me, out of nowhere, and I just had this kind of like download. Someone in the comments had asked me a couple of times, would I be interested in looking at Marina Abramovic's natal chart? And I have always been very, very fascinated by this woman. I have been very, very interested in her on many, many levels. So I'm not really even sure how to approach this. So I think what I'm going to do is I have been sitting here for about half an hour just studying her chart and looking at her houses and everything that is all about her. So I think what I'll do, I'm just going to kind of get into it and just kind of start. Like, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. There's so much I could unpack with this person, and I don't want to be, I'm already YouTube's already censored the shit out of me enough as it is with the types of videos that I tend to do for the algorithm, that I'm just at this point going, well, I'm just going to like unpack someone's chart that I'm interested in. Someone that really fascinates me. So why not just start with, the satanic high priestess, her fucking self, This is probably going to upset a lot of people because I'm going to be going in pretty deep with this. So I'm just bringing up everything that I have here so I can go into her chart and unpack this. So before I do, just a couple of quick things that are exciting. The third edition of the Goliath Tarot Deck, my tarot deck, has now been printed. The box has been made, the deck has been made, and it is now shipping to me. So in a couple of weeks, probably about 3 to 4 weeks, I will have a big batch of limited edition decks. So I'm very excited. I've worked very, very hard, and I've listened to all of the feedback from people. So if you're new to my channel and you don't know me, I am an occultist myself. I am an artist, mostly a visual artist. I paint and draw and I write. I also work sometimes in sculpture as well. And I live in Perth now in Australia. If you don't know where that is, it's on the western side of Australia. I study spiritual science, and I'm also a medium. I am a psychic. I'm a mystic, and lots of other things. But I'm just giving you, I think you guys kind of get where I'm going with what I'm explaining. So if that is something that you're interested in, and you're interested in psychology, anthroposophy, sociology, and the occult, mysticism, things behind things, then this is the channel for you. Please go and scroll back through my previous videos, and you will more than likely probably see something that will appeal to you. I have done a few different series on the signs. We've done the light side, the dark side. I've done the cold hard truth series of the signs. I've also done a series of the signs in Venus, looking at the signs in love. At some point, I will be doing a series on cusps. So if you're an astrologer yourself and you're listening to me and you may think that cusps don't exist, well, in my very humble opinion, yes, they do exist. And I will be doing a video on that at some stage at great length. I also am going to be starting a new series in the next couple of days, actually. I've also started preparing notes for that, where I'm going to be talking about the planets. So we're going to be going in deep, looking at all of the planets. We're going to start with the grandfather, the daddy, Saturn, the prison planet. I'm going to give you my thoughts on a lot of the latest findings on that planet. And I'm also going to share with you what Saturn has to do with a natal chart. Okay, so what is it? What the fuck is Saturn? I'm going to get in there and have a look at it and explain it. Then we'll go to Venus and we'll go on to Jupiter and, all of them. And I'll explain how they affect the signs, how they govern the signs, and I'll give you guys kind of like almost like a class, I guess you could say. I don't proclaim to be a teacher, but I guess some of the knowledge that I share is on some level teaching. I myself am a triple Sagittarian cusp Scorpio, and I am an alchemical artist. So I made a tarot deck. It went viral at one stage, and it is all based on nature, animals, the natural world, and it is a macabre deck, I guess you could say, but it is the exploration of archetypes using animals. So there are no humans in my tarot decks, and in a lot of my own artwork as well with my book that I've created. I tend to work with very mystical like creatures and monsters and magic and things of that nature. I'm very interested in that. So if all of this sounds really interesting to you, then stay on and let's get into Marina Abramovic's chart. If you are not familiar with her, she is a very, very polarizing figure now. She's a very prominent figure that has risen to an insane level of influence with the elites and with Bill Gates. She's also involved in the Ukraine. She's also been known to dabble or be friendly with a lot of very nefarious circles and practices. And it is very interesting because I have always felt a very, very strong psychic pull to this woman. And I do remember way back in the day when I was in high school, one of the things that we had to look at in class when I was doing year 12 was one of Marina Abramovic's performances. So she is a very famous and prolific performance artist that explores a lot of very dark, very, very heavy metaphysical and spiritual and occult kind of, I guess, well, I don't know, it's really interesting because it's an art form, but it's like she combines spirituality with art, with energy. So a lot of her work being like performance based has been very violent, has been very kind of scary to a lot of people. And I do remember that she was in a reference book that I had to study in class when I was like 15 or 16 or something, where she put herself very famously in a room in a museum or in an art gallery and wanted to test society in a way. She wanted to see how far society would go given if there were no limitations to what they could do to her. So she put herself in a room with a bunch of items. Some of them were, like a rose on a table, very minimal. One of them was a knife or a razor blade. One of them was a gun. And she had a sign saying, "You can do whatever you want to me. I will not resist you. I will not fight back." Or it was something along those lines. If you know the experiment, you already know what I'm talking about. If you don't know this experiment, it was a real shock to the world when, after a period of time, what began to happen was people, mostly men, started to prepare to rape her, basically. She was standing there naked. Some of them cut her clothes with scissors off. Some of them cut her stomach with a razor blade. And when humans are not going to be shamed for what they want to do to other humans, or there won't be any consequence, Marina was pushing the limits of what was, possible. And she did mention and has mentioned in very famous TED Talks and lots of interviews, you can go see them for yourself, they're here on YouTube, where she talked about how they were going to rape her if it wasn't stopped. So she is a very, very, it's just a very interesting, scary, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people would be very scared of her. She is very into like death and rebirth and pushing limits of physical pain. There's definitely a sadomasochistic nature to her work, and in some cases you may know the spirit cooking. If you don't know what that is, please go and Google it. I probably can't share that level of information here without being banned on YouTube. But yeah, spirit cooking, spirit cooking, like, do you get it? Also, some of her artwork that she's done, she's been known to use chopped up body parts or snakes that strangle you, blood on canvas, like real blood. She is fucking out there, and has had a very, very strong interest in the occult. And I would say even in time, as I would say she may even be as prolific as someone like Aleister Crowley, just being really honest. I mean, she has a very interesting presence about her, the way that she communicates and the way that she speaks from like a place within her has always interested me. As an artist myself and an occultist looking at Marina, it has been very humbling, actually. It's been very sobering to look at her chart, because a lot of her chart is very, very similar to my astrological chart myself. And so we do know, I just wanted to reach out to someone who's listening to this, because you did ask me to do this video. You did ask me, and I'm doing it now. I recently came in contact with a list of dates, which I would be forbidden to share, but the dates are actually, without going too woo-woo, without freaking people out too much, there are actually a very specific dates astrologically, like placements, time, location, in a Placidus system, where certain public figures or certain people in prominence within the world share those dates for what some might say good and some might say evil. So yes, if you don't know that, it's a thing. Because astrology in itself, as I've come to understand it when I'm now looking at a chart, is like looking at a matrix code. I'm studying God. I'm studying the expression of you that was created from the universe. So as much as people like to think that they're so individual and they're so special, you're special, you're right. But you've got to understand that we're all mixes of each other, and different houses and planets and placements and signs have types and patterns of energies. Okay, and when they're incarnated into the physical world, into the 3D world, there's a reason for that. Okay, just take my word for it. So yes, Marina is on that list, and it's no wonder. So fucking hell, this is crazy shit. Very, very crazy shit. So I have got her details here for the time, date, location of birth that I was most able to get, that was the most accurate. She was born in Belgrade, Serbia. So she was born in the middle of a war. Not uncommon for someone that goes through some heavy, heavy shit. And she was born on the 30th of November in 1946. The time that we have for Marina was that she was born at 7:15 p.m. So that's the time that I have. I don't do Vedic astrology. I do Western astrology. Some people get a little bit nose out of joint for that, but I'm sorry. Western astrology is way, way beyond a Vedic system. It just is, especially for this type of depth that I can go to. So before I go in and have a look at Marina's chart, I just want to say I'm going to be conducting this from a point of view of just showing you what I see. I'm not really going to be coming at it from a personal perspective. All right. So if you would like me to look at your chart like I'm going to look at Marina's right now, then please, you can book me. I have got some spots left for this month, for the month of May, and just go to my website, click on the links. I'm doing 25-minute natal chart readings or 45-minute natal chart readings. So you will get a full report of your chart. I will break down and tear the shit out of it and explain it to you. And you also get 3 questions about anything. Anything you want to ask me about your chart, about life, the occult, you choose. 3 questions you get, 3 questions I will answer. Okay? So that being said, looking at her chart straight off the top of my head, let's just have a sip of coffee. Sagittarius Sun, all right? It's pretty obvious. She is a Sagittarius. She wants to push limits. She wants to go to places and spaces that others just wouldn't ever dare to go to. Okay, that's what I'm interested in myself. So as a young artist, or as her being a young artist, a lot of her art is very provocative and it has a very, very strong theme. It's a very strong presence. So Sagittarius is in a sun, is looking for truth. There is no religion higher than the pursuit of truth and knowledge. Same as what I felt as a kid growing up. I knew we're all going to work, we're all coming home, we go back to work, and then we kind of grow old and then we die. You know, that to me was just like me looking at that as a kid. I was like, I don't really want that on my menu. You know, fuck that shit. I was more interested in what is going on behind this, who created us, why are we here. I started to notice the types and patterns of things. Marina would have been doing that. I do remember in an interview that she used to draw clouds as a kid. She was a very unusual child that definitely displayed levels of trauma and antisocial personality disorder as a child. She has mentioned that in previous interviews as well. So her Sagittarius is only sitting at 7.52. It's not a huge placement there, but it will be a pretty strong anchor over the rest of her chart. Now, it is controversial, but some do believe that her ascending sign is sitting in the Gemini, but I actually don't see it there. I'm seeing it in the Cancer, and I'm going to explain why I see it more in the Cancer. It is way up at 28.50. So in astrology, the degrees go from 00.00 all the way up to 30 degrees. So anything past, say, 20 degrees to me, that's a hell placement. That's a very fixed placement. When I say fixed in astrology, what I'm meaning is stubborn. It's not moving. Think of Scorpio. Think of Taurus. Think of Capricorn. It's weighted. All right. Her moon is in Aquarius, which is, you know, pretty straightforward. It's pretty obvious. She's fucking out there. So that is the sign of the loner. It's the sign of basically like Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. Someone who is here to study, explore, and as we know, Aquarius can be quite detached. So an Aquarian artist is a really interesting thing. They make weird art, you know, they're the aliens. They're here to study us kind of thing. Aquarius, if you don't know this, is actually connected to the Antichrist. Okay, if you don't know what Aquarius is, astrologically, I'll be looking at the planet Uranus and what it means in my series coming up and what that means for us coming into the epoch of Aquarius, which is meant to be the final epoch of the human experience. So the next 2,000 years, humans are going to destroy themselves. No shit. All right, so Mercury, Scorpio. Okay, a lot of scorpionic energy there and it's squared. Venus is sitting in Scorpio. That's actually where I have my Venus as well. I do have a video here on my channel where I do unpack Venus in Scorpio from my own perspective. So please go and have a look at that because that is very prolific in a chart. Venus in Scorpio is a very intense lover, all right? Intense. Her Mars is sitting in Sagittarius. So if you don't know in astrology, your Mars is the phallus. It is the motorboat engine that propels you forward in your life. It's your passion, okay? So she's kind of got a lot of Scorpio. She's a Scorpion. She's a black, dark Scorpion. Venus Scorpion, Jupiter Scorpion. Lilith is in Sagittarius again. It's very interesting when we have a Lilith against a sun sign or against a Mars. So this is a very agitated chart. This is an angry chart to me. So straight up, when I look at a lot of these astrological placements and planets and signs and elements, we've got fire, we've got water, we've got very little earth. So she is not overly grounded. She is really out there in space. This is fucking intense, all right? Oh my God, it's so intense. Like, looking at this chart off, it's a gorgeous chart because it's so fucking crazy. There's a lot going on. But yeah, I mean, that's what's going on with her in the mind. So let's have a look at some of the things and the observations that I can see. She has a massive presence in the 5th house, which would be pretty fitting. The 5th house is all about creativity and self-expression. So for someone that works in a creative industry, that would make sense. She has always been an artist and she will die on that hill. You know, Sagittarians, once they commit to a life path that is not of the mainstream, that will bring them to challenging times. And I do know that she had a partner. If you know of Marina, she had a very prolific partner. His name was Ulai, and he was also a Sagittarian that was born on the same day as her. Very interesting. And I think they met way back in the day. Now, Sagittarians with this type of placement, you don't really get us as lovers in a conventional sense. Sagittarians with an Aquarius moon, to me, is that she is very much like interested in a life partner or multiple partners, but she's not going to be interested in having a conventional marriage relationship with kids. All right. This might freak you out, but I'm dropping some things that maybe if you're an astrologer and you don't know this, but there are certain combinations which cancel each other out in terms of certain aspects of the life. If the chart is, or the placement is sitting in a trine, and for her it is. So when we look at her Sagittarius sun with an Aquarius moon at that degree, that would indicate abortions to me. So it's either she's like had babies cut out of her body or she's aborted babies. That she's had a lot of interesting love affairs in her life, many across decades. All right. So the 5th house is all connected to self-esteem and creative expression, like we know. So it's the way that she approaches the world. Okay. And her Cancer side in the archetype of the mother is especially prominent because it's sitting very high up in her ascending. So a lot of her pain comes from her mother's side and her family line and her family on the end, like the ancestors. So she's got a lot of, like, astrologically, there's a lot like sitting behind her in the spirit world. That is like, she has a very strong connection to the spiritual world. When someone with a moon or a sun, or more so moon or rising in Cancer, loses their mother or has some kind of orphan complex about their life, they can become particularly vicious, okay? Because they're trying to create safety, and Cancer is all about safety and trying to recreate that in whatever way it can. Someone within a Cancer ascendant with her in her placement will withdraw at times from direct conflict head on, but they will like amputate parts of themselves to preserve their own life. So a lot of issues that she may not have dealt with as a child, she transmutes that and literally swallows and eats her pain. And I think that one of her artworks said, I cut my middle finger and I sucked on it and I tasted the pain. So she has a very strong relationship with pain and like things of that nature. So inflicting pain on others or inflicting pain on herself is a very strong expression of her work. And we can see that within her work. So she may also be prone to having unhealthy attachments to material objects. So money and power make her feel very, very safe. I have mentioned that there are certain combinations. I won't share it here. A lot of the knowledge that I have, I won't share unless I'm paid for it at this point. I can't have to put up a paywall. That's why I wanted to come over to Patreon. is that way at least I'm getting something more out of me just sharing this type of information. But there are certain placements that are connected to the scorpionic nature of a chart in someone's natal chart and the nature of a Cancer. When those two are in certain positions of each other, you're going to have a very dangerous human being. I've always said, and if you don't know this, one of the most dangerous combinations you can have of a human is a cusp of a Cancer Gemini, or have any type of house placements or sign placements that are all based in Gemini and Cancer. We're dealing with someone that can mirror people and is very scheming, someone that is really connected to manipulation, and they can be quite ruthless. Let's just put it that way. All right. So very self-conscious, but needing power and stability by whatever means they can get. So they can be very, very nice. Marina can be very, very sweet when she wants something. Okay, she can put that on. A lot of trauma in childhood as well with a Cancerian aspect will create some level of arrested development. I have observed this myself with people in my own life. They kind of get to a certain age and they mentally just kind of stop. So there is a level of her where she has great discipline. Discipline is what she uses to create her expression. But on the other aspect of it, she can be quite childlike, and it would be very prone to having temper tantrums if she doesn't get what she wants. All right. Anyone who's lost a mother at a young age, this can be very destabilizing. I do know that Marina was mostly raised by her grandparents from the age of 6. And her mother was very strict and demanding and really kind of needed her home by a certain time and was basically smothering the fuck out of her, overbearing energy. And that's all sitting in the moon, all right? So when we oppress something and hold it down and deny it and deflect it and disown it and eat it in ourselves, it bounces back up. So that need to be seen, to be famous, to be loved, to be respected, it's all sitting in public houses for her. It's all in the 5th house. So it's done what most artists do, and I do it myself. We take our pain and we transmute it. So she's very against rebellion. She has a very high complex internal world, and she does enjoy escaping into fantasy realms that she can kind of cultivate through her art in an alchemical way. So she will be prone to bouts of loneliness, because when you start to get that like out there and that intelligent, it's like you're operating at a different level. You know, if you ever spoken to I've had friends that I've known that have worked for NASA or have worked in very high levels of, scientific study. And a lot of the stuff, you try and have a normal conversation with them and it's really quite difficult because they've just gone too high. And this is something that I have in my life personally. And that's why I said before, it's sobering to look at Marina's chart, because when you start going really high up, the level of commonality between you and a regular person off the street sometimes can be very, very difficult. It's like trying to get someone to jump the Grand Canyon. So what I'm saying here with Marina would only put herself around people that are greater or smarter than her on some level. She is an elitist, all right? And that is absolutely emphasized in her planets with Mercury in a retrograde in Venus and Scorpio. She's got a very introverted but powerful motion to her. The way that she will express herself with her appearance and her presence, it's like she manages people. It's like, and I think she does. She has an art school or an art place where like Lady Gaga and certain celebrities come and, do certain monk activities. She's interested in, monks being able to change the temperature of their own body out in the snow, things like that. She's very interested in that. And she's also subjected herself to a lot of extreme physical pain as well. She likes to put herself in danger a lot. We saw that a lot in her performances, particularly with like snakes and blades and stuff, where she'll like hold a bow and arrow to her own chest with a friend or a partner. It's all about putting herself into these positions so that she can like get to a higher state of consciousness and just see where that leads her. It's all connected to her intensity. She's got a lot of sexual energy here as well. A lot of everything is amplified in her chart by her Jupiter. So her Jupiter is a very, very strong influence. So it's like teacher. She's at very insane levels of artistic expression. To her, it's all about the art. Much like Tracy Emin, who's also a Cancer as well, another famous artist. It's all about, like, her process for when she makes art would be very regimented. She may even like push herself to exhaustion. I can see that here as well. But she's very, very tough. She's a very tough woman, and that level of discipline and she'll demand loyalty as well. All right. She's got, that loyalty is really important to her. The Venus in Scorpio demands loyalty of partner, and that will not be shamed. So she refuses to be shamed publicly. And that makes sense. Looking at her chart, a lot of her chart is not in public houses, except for the part of her that's in the 5th house, which was... So yeah, it's like it's like she's kind of getting away with stuff in a way. It's really interesting. When we see public houses playing out in different signs, we'll see that person might be like P. Diddy, where they get vilified at some point, they get caught out. But it's like she's kind of going under the radar a little bit. So she's got a very dramatic disposition. She's got a square between her Leo and her Scorpio as well. So she can start up drama. She can get bored of things very easily. This is kind of like fire and water. So it's like lava. That's what I see there. So there's a stubbornness to her, but she really pushes herself into even sometimes relationships that she knows won't work to attain a high level of growth. So she's like a networker as well. There is a square between her Chiron and her Scorpio. And so it's like, she's sitting in, like, she uses pain and sadness within her from her own, like, family. It's all in the family in the 4th house as well. Her ancestry, her home, her country. I think that she did actually have to leave Yugoslavia as well. So her leaving her home country, and I think she's mentioned that, she really loved that beloved country. It was really her home. Marina's emotional landscape is really kind of like, she has like lots of detachment, okay? Jupiter in Scorpio seeks expansion through detachment. So lots of alone time, lots of air, like myself. You need for me to process information and make art and talk deeply, I need lots and lots of time to reflect on things. So I've always said myself, making art is like, people think the art of making art is just making art and painting and slapping on some paint, but to me it's not. And it's more like thinking about the art before I make the art. So that's what she kind of does. There is, it's interesting. I can't say, but with that Jupiter in Scorpio against her moon in Aquarius, she may have been like, if she is on the Machiavellian scale of psychopathy and she truly is psychotic, she could enjoy killing things. She could enjoy watching things being tortured. People putting themselves in very uncomfortable positions like she has done herself. So it's very violent tendencies with that level of placement, okay? I won't go too much into that, but spirit cooking, Jesus Christ. That's adrenochrome, this type of stuff comes up a lot with her as well. Let's have a look. So it looks like, okay, so it would make sense. So with her Neptune sitting where it is with her country and social structures, they're kind of like it's dissolved as she's aged. So that's why, because it's very close to her IC in the 4th house. So it's like as she's gotten older, she's had to leave her home, like it wasn't safe. Also, she's had a lot of trouble with addictions and abuse as well. So it could be addiction of like substances. It could be addiction to in like sex, a lot of sex there. Her North Node in Gemini tells me that she has an innate need for communication. And, her ultimate thing is teaching and leading a legacy. Because let's have a look and see where that node is sitting. What house was that? I think you'll probably find it'll be yep, it is. It's in the 10th house. It's Capricorn. So that's why. So she's like legacy. She's building a life's work. So after she goes, it's like she will have minions that will continue to do her work for her, and continue to project her ideas intellectually and artistically out into the world. It's all about building like a level of mastery that it has an authority in the world. And that's what Capricorn does in the 10th house. So yeah, very dark. With that Scorpion side that she's got there, Scorpio was sitting again, it's a double in the 8th house. So it's like very sexual, very secretive, underworld femininity. With her Aquarius moon there as well, she may even be like very bisexual. So she could have like she fucks men and women. She could have like done very extreme taboo things. That's mostly what she is known for anyway. But it's like all secrets, because Jupiter in Scorpio is like huge creative strength and toughness, and those darker realms of sexuality and even perversion as well is definitely there. Okay, let's have a look. With the sign the sign on the cusp of the 10th house in her career and her public image. Okay, right. So it means like outwardly her personality is very solo based. With this level of placement, when I look at someone with that much Scorpio or Sagittarius, that is like a person that is going to be on a very solo journey. I don't usually see a chart like this with someone that would just marry and settle down and have kids. They kind of see themselves as a child of the world and the universe. So they give up their life like a nun, because a lot of Sagittarian women are nuns, to furthermore explore the themes that they want to explore, you know. And she is very interested in the occult. And also with that double placement in Scorpio against the Sagittarius sun at that degree, she very extreme temper tantrums. Like she could erupt very quickly as well. So she's it's fucking full on. Has a tendency to be quite jealous as well and possessive at times. Let's have a look. Yeah, her mind, like it's so interesting. Her mind must be like just all over the place. Also, Sagittarians are prone to dating people way younger than them or older than them. And I think she does have a boyfriend that is about 35 years younger than her at the moment. I have mentioned that a lot of the darker aspect of a Sagittarius is a pedo. They do that for many reasons, but I can't share that here either. It's probably freak people out. Yeah, so I can see she's had a few abortions. Perhaps even a ritual of sorts here as well, I can see. It's like she plays interesting love game dynamics with people. It's all in the mind for her. It's all going to be in the mind. It wouldn't be enough for someone to be aesthetically attractive with that Aquarius moon, Sagittarius sun. It has to be someone that either has greater knowledge or power of the occult than her, or it has to be someone that is very unique, someone that really can expand her mind. I'm the same actually in relationships. Like if someone isn't really interesting and can hold my vision, I can't sustain a relationship with that. I have to have someone that can let me expand while they expand as well. So we have to kind of expand together. So it's more like a life partnership than it is a conventional structure. So any conventional structure, she's against it because her Lilith is sitting in Sagittarius way up at 23. So Lilith is the queen of demons in astrology, and Lilith was the reference to the first wife of Adam, and she rejected Eden and rejected Adam. So if you know about that, I'll be doing a video on Lilith and what she means in astrology as well. So yeah, rebellion in relationship is definitely on point for her. So you're going to have, I would say that the perfect match for another Sagittarian probably is another Sagittarian, to be really honest. And that's what she was with. She was with Liu Life for like many years, or like life partners until I think he died. And they hadn't seen each other in a long time. And she had her show where she sat in a chair and people would come up to her while she was sitting in the chair and they would look at her in the eyes. And it was like looking into someone's eyes, the power of looking into someone's eyes. I mean, I've learned a lot from Marina. You know, I've learned a lot of stuff from Marina just from her work and from her interviews and things like that. So she's very synonymous with that Uranus energy, which is kind of studying people in a humanitarian way, and can be quite destructive with like psychic forces as well. You know, if this woman is truly evil, you know, she's going straight to fucking the lower astral. If she hasn't already made a deal with the lower astral already. So contacting demons would be something she'd be very interested in. I'm channeling as we're talking, and I can see a black obsidian sphere as well. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe she's tried to communicate with demons. That, by the way, was the first mirror that the Anunnaki used, and also the Egyptians used to communicate with the spiritual world, was a glass obsidian mirror, the black mirror. Yeah, so people were coming and sitting around and staring into her eyes, and that was what she did for like days on end. She'd sit in the chair and then she'd just stare. So you can see, after you do that for a while, I would recommend trying it. After a while, what happens is, even if you do it to your own face in the mirror, it starts to distort, and you start to get past the physical aspects of the 3D, and you can kind of go into more of the 5D of what the soul looks like, not what the body looks like. I have mentioned that before in previous videos. What your soul looks like, you'd be quite shocked to find out in the etheric body, it's not the same as the physical body. And the more someone distorts and mutilates their own etheric body from defying natural law and their perversion of self, the more it mutilates them and makes them more monstrous, you know. That's why as an occultist, I can do face reading. I look at faces, because faces, I can stare at the face and it will tell me things. I used to do it a lot as a kid, actually, just looking at myself in the mirror for like hours. And after a while, there was like an internal dialogue I was having that was coming from the mirror. I won't go into that too much, probably freak people out. But a lot of people have done it. And if you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's have a look and jump in a little bit more, and then I'll unpack a bit more and I'll get out of here. I think this has been pretty interesting. A lot of her pain came from her mother, and then she rebelled. So she won't be told what to do. That's absolutely a given. Venus and Scorpio, we've talked about that, they're very direct, which I really like. Their actions run really deep. So Venus and Scorpio is when a Venus and Scorpio commits to you, that means they're there. Like, they want to build a life with you. If you're the one, you're the one. So if that ass is for them, no one else is fucking that ass. Scorpio and Venus deals in power plays. All right. The only problem is with the Scorpio or a Scorpio in love is that they can control and trap that of what they love. You know, so be careful with that. You know, you might be put in a beautiful castle. You might have all the money in the house and, credit cards, but they will isolate you. Scorpios can do that if they're dark-sided, and they'll push you away from your family and kind of ostracize you, and then they control you. So they keep you safe from everything but them. Marina has that aspect to her. And her Venus was sitting in the 6th house. Let's have a look and see where that was. So 6th house is in Virgo. So she'd be very attracted to science as well. Venus is beauty, nature, but she's very interested in like CERN. She'd be very interested in psychological studies and like science that's playing around with atoms and cells and things like that. The mad scientist. Yeah. I think I'm going to leave it here. I think I've kind of unpacked quite a bit. What have we got? We got to 43 minutes. I could go on all day, guys. I fucking love this shit. I love it so much. But I'm giving you guys, what I'm doing is I'm showing you what I can do. So if you've enjoyed this unpacking of Marina Abramovic's chart, and you'd like me to look at your chart like this, then go to my website, book me now, shoot me the email, Just send in name, date of birth, location of birth, and a recent photo of yourself. It's all confidential. I will go in there and conduct my reading, my findings, and you will get something like this, even deeper than this, right? I love doing this. I'm an astrologer for a reason, right? And spiritual science to me is just everything. It's fascinating. As an artist, as a human, it's so interesting to be learning. And the more that I know, the more that I kind of don't know. That's the exciting thing about learning about this type of stuff. I could live 100 lifetimes and I'd still barely scratch the surface of knowledge that is out there. So go book me. I look forward to seeing your readings. I will be starting my new series on the Saturn, Daddy, the grandfather. And I'm going to upload some photos of Marina's work in this, if you've noticed this as well. So you'll see them here on this upload. Lots and lots of love to you. If you would like to find me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is LEL _ Goliath Artist. Okay, so EL _ Goliath Artist. And my third edition of the Goliath Tarot Deck is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. We'll be opening up the pre-sales, and I'm really excited about this. It's so cool to bring this back and make some cool changes, which I'll be doing an unboxing and things like that. So we will be shipping worldwide, and yes, for someone that asked me the other day, yes, you can buy more than one copy. Of course you can. We're going to set it to you can buy as many copies as you want. Lots and lots of love. I will see you in the next upload. Please leave a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on this. I'd love to see them. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.